right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome into Talkback here on your Monday. I'm Al Quartermont along with Stephen Maxwell. Glad you could join us. We have a lot to talk about on the show today. Coming up at 7:30, Chris Camp will be here. He's one of the candidates running for mayor for the city of Pineville. So we'll look forward to talking with him as we try to get you a little pre-election coverage as we have early voting starting this Saturday. It's coming up. So pretty crazy. And then the election will be 2 weeks from Saturday. And then in our 8 o'clock hour, Daniel Erspalmer will join us from the Pelican Institute, and we'll break down the 5 constitutional amendments, what the Pelican Institute is saying about those. So that and more coming up here on the show today. Obviously, a lot of the news from the weekend has to do with what took place Saturday night in Washington. You had the White House Correspondents' Dinner, a night that's meant to be at least somewhat fun as you get a little chiding from both sides. And, of course, we had a deranged person storm into the hotel where that event was being held. Thankfully, Secret Service was able to stop him. One officer did take a bullet to a bulletproof vest, but beyond that, they had to stop things. And, man, just a crazy night for sure. So you've been seeing a lot of reaction to that, people weighing in and giving their opinions. Thankfully, nobody was hurt in that incident except for that one officer who was released yesterday morning. So that's kind of the backdrop that a lot of the news will be framed around today. I'm sure Stephen will hear that from a lot of the shows that we'll be carrying here on KSYL.
Yeah, it was the first video that kind of dropped was Secret Service rushing Trump off the stage, and you kind of were waiting to see what happened. Then you saw some video from some of the press pools outside of the main hall area, and then you saw the video of the suspect. So a crazy kind of night. Glad it wasn't worse. And I saw a report today that maybe a cell phone saved that Secret Service officer's life.
Oh, is that right? Wow.
That's what they're claiming. So
yeah,
took a bullet to his phone.
Yeah. And just seeing the video from inside the event where you had men who were covering their wives, Secret Service rushing to get President and the First Lady out of there. Man, they got J.D. Vance out of there right away. And then you had the one guy that from the angle where the video eye was pointing toward the stage, that one Secret Service guy just got up there and just stood, covering the presidents. So some very brave people acting that moment. There's no question about that. And the president, I thought to his credit, he rushed over to the White House, did an impromptu news conference, took questions, talked about it, and I thought kind of brought a calm to the evening and said that he definitely wants to still have the event. They're going to find out a way to reschedule it. But he also emphasized, too, that for him, this is why he wants to build that new ballroom, which has been getting some opposition. So we'll see if that'll help that project go forward. Clearly, there was a little bit of a security issue at that hotel. I don't know if it's just the guy who is alleged to be the attempted assassin was actually staying in the hotel itself. So, yeah. And on that note, what is happening to people? Seriously. I mean, you read the guy's manifesto, and here's a guy that was a school teacher. He was like the teacher of the year in the district in which he lived. Like, what is happening to people to drive them to moments like this? It's another part of the discussion.
Good question. And, I hate to exaggerate certain things, but I think people can just get stuck online and get stuck in this loop.
Yeah.
And they just get crazed in their worldview or their fake world.
Right.
Whatever it is.
Right. Can't separate what's happening politically from any kind of reality. I don't know. His manifesto, anytime somebody's got a manifesto, there's a screw loose there, to say the least. And it was very, not only anti-Trump, but anti-Christian and just a weird dude. So anyway, thankful that it wasn't worse. Thankful that everybody seems to be okay. But then you saw like a clip of Erica Kirk Like, man, what are we doing? What are we doing? So
It's be a bad world, of course.
All right, 318-14.
Just last week was talking about it being a civil war. We're at war. They continue to use it. But I was actually calling about our local election to get people to collect prices and wring their hands about the gas prices, which I never said when Biden was in office, and this election. It's a talk about the election to explain that we have a two-party system, and with these primaries coming up, so we're just selecting candidates. Everybody's going to vote. I think they're very generous in allowing people to register no party to get the vote is not both. I think if you run for a party, understand that. And thanks for letting me speak my piece. Y'all have a great day. I just wanted to get on that before y'all got on the assassination stuff, because I knew that would be the talk of the day. Y'all have a great day.
All right. Thank you so much. So, yeah, it is a little bit different. And I think, one of the things, no matter how much you talk about it, no matter how much you say it, probably the average Louisianian's not really paying attention and probably not really understanding what's taking place. If you're listening and you're like, well, what's this all about? So that Louisiana forever has had what's been essentially an open primary system. Sometimes they've called it the jungle primary. That means you have cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. Just kidding. It's Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Green Party, whatever party you want. Everybody jumps into that race. And then through that first primary vote, whoever either one candidate gets 50% of the vote plus one, and they're the outright winner, or the top two, if they don't get 50 plus one, the top two then go to a runoff. And that could be two Republicans, two Democrats, a Democrat and a Republican, the Democrat and no party, whatever the case might be. In this case now, Louisiana, through an act of the legislature, moved to what they call a closed primary system. Now, this is just for kind of statewide races, federal elections. So, for example, for U.S. Senate, there's a Democrat primary, there's a Republican primary. For the congressional House seats, for your congressman or congresswoman, 1st through 6th districts. We have 6 districts in Louisiana. Same thing, Republican and Democrat primary. They also have this now for Associate Justice of the State Supreme Court. They have this for Public Service Commission for this particular race, Districts 1 and 5. We have it for Bessie, District 1. We have it for a couple of others as well. So what does that mean? That means when you go to vote, you have to either be a registered Democrat or a registered Republican, in which case you can only vote in this primary for the candidates that are running in that particular party. As the caller mentioned, they've also allowed this year what they call the no party people. That's different from independent. Independent is actually a party. So you have to be no party, which that's what I am. I don't know if you are that as well.
Yeah, I am.
Personally feel anyone who's in the journalism realm should probably be in that category.
I think independent's been removed.
Totally?
The party, yeah.
Oh, really?
I think they shut it down.
Okay.
Or it's going to.
I gotcha.
I think because the independent party leader said no one was coming to the meeting.
It's because the people are too independent.
Yeah. Al and I are both no party.
Yeah. So that means that when you show up to vote, if you decide you're going to vote Republican, you got to vote Republican in everything, essentially, or Democrat and everything.
Well, yeah, you go, if you're no party, you declare for the primary, and you have to stay in that throughout the whole primary, the whole ticket. And so once the general comes, you can switch parties if you want to.
Right.
I agree with Dave, though. I think no party should just have to suck it up and wait till the general.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I get why they're doing it, because they're going to feel like voters are disenfranchised with the new system. I'm assuming that has a lot to do with it. Or maybe a lot of the no party affiliated people are leaning one way or the other. But yeah, I agree. I think it's just for the parties. And I'm no party because I'm a journalist, and I also think parties are the devil.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly I think we can safely say that the two-party system has not served our country well.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah. The green class.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be confusing. You're going to see a lot of... you might have to give yourself some extra time if you go to the polls for Election Day. I always suggest early voting because the lines are usually shorter and you can kind of iron it out there. But the registrar of voters here and other places seem pretty confident in moving it along. And I think that the deadline is passed, though, to register online for the upcoming May 16 election. I think you can still go in person. But it's, yeah, get ready. I wonder what the turnout's going to be. I wonder if it's going to be above 30%.
That's a great question. I would bet not, but do we feel like people are highly motivated to go vote in this primary? What's like the one topic? Now, you might see in pockets of the state, like I feel like carbon capture could be an issue that drives some people to the polls, but I don't know how much of a statewide issue that is. In fact, I would say it's really probably not a statewide issue. I think it's been a very regional, even by parish issue. Will that be enough? Probably not.
Well, apparently it's bipartisan now after we played that video from the Democratic Congressional.
Yeah, that's right.
Very interesting how that's working.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, let's go back to the phones. We have another call coming in. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
So I was reading this article about political parties recently, and it described a political party as a bunch of people who get together and make up a bunch of lies, and all agree to believe it.
Wow.
I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't think the two-party system has served the country very well. All right, you go. So.
Yeah, I mean, not a fan, but like Al said, I think a lot of the journalists should be no party affiliation as much as possible. But a lot of people who wanted to be no party regardless, like Al was saying, they just became independent in Louisiana and had no idea that they were joining another party.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But if you're libertarian, if you're Green Party, if you're the birthday party, you're not allowed to vote in the primary for a Republican or Democratic candidate. And there are no libertarian candidates for the primary or whatever.
Right.
If you're neither a Democrat or Republican, you are not voting till the general election.
Yes. All right, so hope that helps. One other thing from over the weekend, congratulations to a couple of local guys who are now on their way to the National Football League, as Bud Clark was taken in the second round of the NFL draft by the Seattle Seahawks, the world champions, by the way. So that's amazing to see, the safety out of TCU. And then Jacobian Guillory, who played defensive line for the LSU Tigers the last 4 years, he was selected. I'm sorry, he wasn't selected. He was signed as an undrafted free agent by the Los Angeles Chargers.
And I do want to say that one of the most horrible mistakes that I've made on posting happened with when Jacobian Guillory signed. It was early in the morning, and I typed out the thing saying he was signed as an undrafted free agent. But 4 hours later, when I checked Facebook after church, I looked at the post, and some guy was commenting saying, asterisk undrafted. So I looked at my post, and the predictive text and me not proofreading, it said undesirable free agent.
Oh, gosh.
And so I was mortified and horribly just scared that I offended Mr. Guillory if he happened to see it, or his friends. And hopefully he didn't, and we're all good to go. But I guess now he knows if anyone listens to the show. But it was not on purpose. But of all the words for it to come up, it would say undesirable.
Yeah.
So I hate.
Yeah, gosh, that's crazy. All right. Well, we need to take a break. Chris Camp will join us in the studio right after this.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics. With 18 providers and 3 locations, someone can see you today.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Shares of Qualcomm soaring this morning. A closely followed tech industry analyst suggested the chip maker is working with artificial intelligence giant OpenAI on a smartphone. The report says mass production is expected in 2028. No comment from either company. The S&P 500 hit a record high on Friday as the Justice Department dropped its investigation into the Federal Reserve and Chair Jay Powell. Plus, Intel delivered a blockbuster sales forecast that shattered Wall Street expectations. This morning, traders continue to watch developments out of the Middle East. Stock futures are little changed. And Spotify is now offering workout classes from Peloton to premium subscribers, marking the music streamer's first major move into fitness content. The new partnership will give access to a catalog of more than 1,400 ad-free workouts from some of Peloton's most popular wellness instructors. Spotify raised the price of its premium subscription to $13 in February. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
Good morning. Our skies partly sunny on this Monday. It's going to be a breezy day and hot. Afternoon highs near 92. That heat index is high as 97. We'll see winds out of the south gusting as high as 25. Tonight, increasing clouds, only getting down to 71. And our Tuesday, a partly sunny day. Again, warm, 91 for the afternoon high, but a slight chance of some afternoon showers. From the Zenlaw Broadcasting Weather Center, I'm Dave Gratian.
If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BOM Bank Talk line at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BOM Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYL. To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. Talkback.
All right, we're back on Talkback on your Monday. Alan Stephen with you, and very pleased to be joined in the studio this morning by one of the candidates for City of Pineville Mayor. That election date is coming up 2 weeks from Saturday. Early voting begins Saturday. Chris Camp joins us in the studio. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Doing really good. Just out and about this morning, trying to get some things wrapped up. Got a lot going on the campaign trail. Still trying to work out and get all that done. I actually haven't posted my Monday weight loss video yet, and so I'm sure a few people are waiting on that to see how the results are. Not good. I'm just telling you on advance. I gained 0.1 of a pound
during a campaign.
Yeah, apparently, and you'd think it wouldn't be that way because all the neighborhoods I've been walking and visiting with people but apparently I'm eating like more than I want to do.
How much weight have you lost?
115 pounds at this point. Yeah.
Over how much time?
Been a little bit over a year now.
Wow.
So yeah, it was part of a bigger vision. The weight loss is one of the steps in my journey. I'm going to actually talk about this a little bit today at LC, but I'll tell you guys a kind of sneak preview of it. Couple of years ago in 2021, things were going kind of rough. And I'd found a TikTok video where a lady had talked about just be a little better than you were the day before. And that resonated with me really hard. So I started doing all these things, every day, like trying to be a little better than I was the day before. And that journey brought me through auditing, college courses, through reading different books that I would never read, through meeting my wife. Just all these different things, kept building and snowballing on top of each other. And to my weight loss journey, I was like, my brain's working better. I'm feeling good. Let's fix our body to go with that, And that's how I rolled into running for mayor too. So just being a little better. So,
yeah. No, that's a pretty good thought.
Yeah.
Which, like you said, has led to you running for mayor. Did you ever think in your life this would be the kind of thing that you would do?
No. This was not my plan at all. And in all honesty, my life is pretty smooth. Like, my life goes very well. I get to play a lot of golf. I get to enjoy life. I have more than 6 months out of the year off from work.
Wow.
So running for mayor is actually...
Where do you work? We'll get to that too. Yeah.
But yeah, running for mayor is actually a little more... It's going to be more work. It's going to be more time in the office. But I believe in my vision for the future of Pineville so much that I'm willing to give up my free time for the youth, for the future of Pineville. It's not about me at all. I wouldn't even do this if it wasn't for what I think can happen in the future for our young people.
Yeah.
Give us your background. So where do you work? What are some of the things that you feel like you're qualified for to be mayor?
Well, I work for Plastic Pack Packaging. I do quality control for them. I do a lot of, analysis on the product. But overall, I've been in business for many years of my life. I worked for my grandpa's company, ran restaurants for a long time, spent a lot of time going around fixing broken restaurants. That was one of my main jobs. So I would come into a restaurant that was underperforming, things like that, and go in and get them back to where they needed to be. And that's kind of how I feel about the mayor's race. It's not that the city's doing bad, but I think a fresh set of eyes on the product, on the city itself, can maybe make some differences that maybe ideas that haven't been really thought about yet. So.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we obviously don't want to do mudsling or anything, but what are some things that you feel like you would do different than the current administration?
Well, I think the current administration is doing a good job overall, but I think we really need to focus in on bringing in more manufacturing jobs here. Not saying what we're doing now isn't great, but I think that if we bring in that manufacturing piece and we get affordable housing for our young people, that'll give more disposable income in the future, which then in turn rolls into we can bring in more restaurants, different things like that. Different venues can come to town. But if we only have $10 to spend, just simplifying it, $10 to spend on going out to eat or things like that, and we have 10 restaurants, everybody gets $1. If we add in a new restaurant to the mix, we're taking $1 away from something that's already here. So I want to bring in those new restaurants, but I also want to bring in more money for the citizens first. I believe the way we can do that is we build a coalition that is steady focused 7 days a week, 365 days a year on bringing in more manufacturing, build up an infrastructure around more manufacturing coming here, be site ready for it. That's my goal for the city in the future.
So the phrase affordable housing, define more what you mean by that.
I'm not talking about giving houses away. I'm talking about taking these abandoned homes, these lots that the city is working on right now currently, but we bring in contractors who are going to build these smaller homes, little cottage style homes on the property, which we've seen that done. That was a grant proposed a few years ago, and the city of Pineville actually was awarded that to kind of be the test subject for it. And we've seen those couple of houses being built, but I want to do that in a bigger scale. They've started doing that in Houston, Texas, taking those infill lots, building homes that are around $100,000. That means these young people can buy a home and afford to go do things afterwards. If you're making $45,000 a year, a $100,000 home is doable. A $200,000 home isn't doable. And
I want to put words in your mouth too. So when you're saying focus on manufacturing and not like other businesses, are you saying that kind of like the restaurants and things that we have now are at a good spot? You don't want to bring any more? What does that mean to you?
No, I'd love to bring in more restaurants, but I like the idea of, our Buckets and our Lou and Laura's and our Quibido's and our Pop's place. Those places are here right now. And if we add another restaurant to the mix, we're going to be taking away from those restaurants. It's just a fact. We have a finite amount of money. And if we add another restaurant to the mix, we are going to take business away from those people. So if we bring in a large franchise, a corporate chain, that's taking money out of the city. If it's all those businesses that I talked about, they're local. They're here. Those people live in this area, But I do want to see that come, but we have to build up the other piece first. We got to add a couple more dollars to the going out to eat fund, if you will, So bringing in more manufacturing jobs means we get to, raise the pay for everyone, because if you add another manufacturing plant in this area, everybody's going to have to go up a little bit on their pay, which means wages are going to go up, means more jobs for people, better opportunities for everyone. Then that means more restaurants, more clothing stores, more things along those lines in the future.
All right, Chris Camp is our guest here on Talkback. We need to take a break. We'll come back with more.
KSYL.
Great things are happening in Pineville. In just over a year, Mayor Joe Bishop has focused on what matters most: improving streets and drainage, strengthening city services, and supporting our police and fire departments.
All right, we are back on Talkback, talking with Chris Camp. He is one of the candidates for the City of Pineville mayor. We've been talking a little bit about what some of his goals are for the city. As we continue with Chris here on this Monday morning, our number is 318-445-6. Nope, wait,
442-8255.
I don't know why I do that.
It's Monday, man.
Yeah.
It's definitely Monday. 318-442-8255. So yeah. So you were talking about manufacturing jobs, and I know it's outside of city limits, but one of the big ones is the project that's coming to the old IP mill site. That's the Beaver Lake Renewables. Is that something you would like to see move forward?
I'm going to be honest with you guys on that one. I didn't know anything about it before I started running for mayor, and I had a ton of people reach out to me, and they started telling me their concerns about it. And I'll be honest. Right now, for me, the risk doesn't outweigh the rewards from it. I love the idea of the jobs that it's going to create. I love that. I don't like the eminent domain stuff with it. I don't like the thought of pumping things into the ground under our drinking water. I'm not a big fan of that. I know it doesn't directly affect Pineville, but it does affect the people who live around Pineville. And the people who live around Pineville come into Pineville to work, and they come into Pineville to eat, and they come into Pineville to do other things. So the people who live outside of the city, if they're concerned about it, I'm concerned about it too. I know that sounds counterproductive, saying that I don't agree with something that's going to bring in extra jobs. And I know I've had a lot of people who would give me backlash to that, but I just don't think the risk outweighs the rewards on it. So at this present moment. Now, if somebody came to me and gave me real data and showed me, something tangible that I can really look at and wrap my head around and say, yeah, this is a great idea and it's going to work and it's going to be perfect, then sure, let's do it. But I don't at this present second, I don't see that to be the case. So that's my thoughts on it.
Gotcha.
What are some other manufacturing companies, projects that you do see possibly coming to Pineville during your tenure, or at least the catalyst of it?
Well, I mean, we're already really good at manufacturing plastic goods. We're good at manufacturing, at Procter & Gamble. We're doing great stuff with Crest. So I'd like to see something similar in those veins, more manufacturing in the plastics industry, a little bit more, I've looked at a few places that are doing the affordable manufactured homes, and they're looking for new sites. I could see that being a thing, the foldable homes that people are building. It'd be really cool that if that was done here, and we could have like a test neighborhood for it, and stuff like that in the future. I don't know if that's the case. I haven't got into that role yet, but I could see those are things I'm thinking ahead, on that. I would want to reach out to those companies,
It'd be interesting to know too that P&G and Plastipac have both recently expanded.
They did.
The last couple of months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing that what are some other things that you would say your leadership style is like if you were the boss of the city?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm very compassionate. That's one of my big things. I'm very positive. That's my focus typically is about positivity, is about uplifting people, is about lifting people up, not holding people back. So my leadership style is more like taking people and molding them into the best person that they can possibly be, which uplifts me and uplifts them in the future. In the restaurant business all the time, I would take the underperforming employees and go, I'll put them on my shift. I'll take those guys, and we'll see what we can do and get them better, get them stronger. I believe we have some opportunities there with some of the city workers that are, I think, maybe frustrated. To me, it's hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that a city employee can't afford a home in Pineville. Like that's something that doesn't set well with me. I would like to see something done about that. I do not know how we're going to get there. I don't know the end result or how we're going to do it. Same way I didn't know how I was going to lose 115 pounds, but I figured it out. I worked hard, I studied, I learned what I could about the process, and that's what I'll do as a leader, is I will come in and I will study and I will work hard every day to figure out the best solution to those problems.
All right, we do have a call coming in for Chris, if you want to put those headphones on.
Okay.
All right, good morning. You're on Talkback with Chris Camp.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is interesting. Can you tell us any more about the Beaver Lake business? Because as I understand it, that's the cellulose to methanol conversion process.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is, if they have made it an efficient process, which is kind of the dream, that's an efficient way to get rid of a lot of waste, bark, straw, etc. I don't know. How deep have you dug into that? Yeah, I mean, I like the idea.
I've reached out to a
useful chemical.
Yeah. I've reached out to a few different groups, Save Louisiana, a few other organizations that are opposed to it. I don't know everything about it. I just know that what I seen in Mississippi, the thing that was out a while back, those people could have died. And I don't take that lightly. I think that's something that we need to think about. I'm all for the environment. I want to have a better environment. But even hunters and farmers are against this. They can't all be wrong. So if somebody can give me more data that shows why we should do it, then maybe. But at this present second, I don't see it as something that I'd want to be a part of.
Well, what are they? I mean, I've really not dug into it. I work in the oil and gas industry for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
We use methanol extensively. Currently, the feedstock for a methanol plant, like down in Gizmer, is natural gas.
Mm-hmm.
And you use a steam cracking process to turn it into methanol.
So just to kind of save time here, and you said you haven't really looked into it, I don't think people have so much a problem with the front end of the proposed project using offshoots from the timber industry. I think what they have a problem with is that for them to be able to sell their product in the European markets, where it will go, is that they are required to be carbon friendly, meaning that they have to capture the carbon byproduct, store it, and then ship it via pipeline somewhere to be put into the ground. That is the part I think a lot of people have a hard part with.
Yeah, that's the part I do.
I do too, because what happens when you pump carbon dioxide down deep into the ground like that. You're also blocking off potential drilling for oil and gas because you can't ever punch back through that. You let a few million cubic, or a few billion cubic feet of carbon dioxide come out into an area uncontained. You suffocate anybody within miles.
Yeah.
We know what happened. We've seen it happen in Africa.
Yeah.
And that was natural. That was from natural volcanic activity.
Right. So that's the part I think a lot of people are unsure about. So anyway, thank you for the call today. Appreciate it.
Have a good day.
All right. So any thoughts? Have you thought about the kind of people you want working with you, for you in a cabinet should you win?
I've thought about it a pretty good bit, and being that I'm going to be new to this process, I don't really see a big change in all the leadership in the city of Pineville. If I'm elected, I'm going to lean on those people who are already in those positions and see what they're capable of and what they can bring to the table. I haven't really thought about changing anybody yet or any of those things. I think what we have there is really good. We have some really good people who work for the city and who are doing those jobs. So I would probably stick with what we got for right now and go from there.
All right. So just more, you want to see the change at the top is essentially it.
Yeah. And that's it. And that's not against Mr. Bishop. He is a really nice guy. He's been nothing but friendly to me and pretty pleasant to deal with. I grew up in the 90s and we were promised something and I don't think that ever came true for us. And I think the generation after us aren't going to be as well off as we were. And I don't want to see that. In America, that's never something you want to see. Typically, the generation after you does better than you did. So, and I think we're stuck in a situation where that's not necessarily the case, or it doesn't feel like it's that way. A lot of young people feel overwhelmed. They feel like their voice isn't being heard. They feel like like they're not doing as well as their parents did, and I want to change that.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead.
Is there like an area of opportunity you see, or like a part of the city that would get a lot of focus economically from you?
Yeah, the Central Grounds is a major economic opportunity for the city. I believe that we can do so much with that property. There's a lot that can be done over there. Necessarily, I don't want to see manufacturing over on the Central Grounds, but I think that area is our prime time location that is going to be major focus in the next 4 to 5 years.
What are some things you'd like to see there?
I would really like to see a brewery over there. I'd like to see some affordable housing built over there, like some neighborhoods built over there. I'm not opposed to an idea of like a 9-hole golf course built over there. I think that would be really cool. Pineville needs something like that. But I don't want to take away from Alexandria in that regard either, because I love Oak Wing and Links. You know, I play golf pretty regularly, but I'd love to see a golf course in Pineville. That property would be real pretty for that. I'd like to see a paintball field somewhere in central Louisiana in the future. We had one for years and it went away. And I think there's a need for that again. I think something, young people getting outside and doing activities outside is great. It's great for your mental health to be out in the sun. I'd like to see a skate park here. I would like to see a dog park here. I'd like to work with Raising Cane's and maybe have a dog park built in Pineville. You know, paintball opportunities, just different things like that in the future. And I think some of that could be done on the Central Grounds.
All right. Talking again with Chris Camp here. He is a candidate for the Pineville City Mayor. 3 candidates in this race. All 3 of you are Republicans.
Yeah. I'm a Republican, but I consider myself a localist. And I know that's not a term a lot of people usually hear. They're like, what is a localist? And it's a movement that's been kind of going around on social media the past few years. Our goal is not to fix the national government. It's not a Republican Democrat thing. Matter of fact, some of my best friends are Democrats, liberals. But I believe we fix what's here at home first, and that spreads nationally. I've said it before. Y'all probably seen it on social media, the grass cutting effect. If I mow my yard, then the neighbor mows his yard, then that neighbor mows his yard, and before you know it, the entire neighborhood's mowed. So we make Pineville a place that is the shining beacon on the hill for the rest of the state, and then other cities are going to follow our lead on that, and that's the goal. And then that spreads nationally over time, and I think we get a better system than that binary 2-party, you know, fighting back and forth between each other and not actually getting anything accomplished, you know?
Yeah. Getting out and meeting with folks, has that been a rewarding experience for you?
Oh, it's been a blast. I've met so many people that had I not done this, you know, did this adventure, I wouldn't have met. And it has been really cool. I've met people that are now, I would consider like probably my closest friends that in normal day-to-day life, I wouldn't have met at all. Like we would have never talked. And now like I talk to them almost daily, you know, and just excited that we're, you know, doing this stuff. And it's been really rewarding in that regard.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're out of time for the half hour. Thank you so much for stopping in today. Wish you the best for the campaign. And I'm sure like a lot of candidates I talk to, you enjoy the process, but you're also going to be glad when it's over.
Oh yeah. I'm a little wore out, and my drive is kind of slipped on the golf course. So my friends have been picking on me.
2 more weeks. Got to put the hammer down.
Yeah.
So. All right. Thank you, Chris Camp, candidate for mayor for the city of Pineville. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank y'all.
Talkback is sponsored
All right, so just a couple things on the election. While we talked about how if you're no party, you'll vote either Democrat or Republican, apparently all people that were listed as independents have been folded into no party by the registrar's office. So if you were previously an independent, you'll be no party for this election. Also coming up at 11:30 over at Louisiana Christian University today, 11:30, they have a meet and greet with the candidates for Pineville City Council and Mayor. So if you want to hear more for the candidates, including Chris, who we just had on the show, head over to Granbury at 11:30. More coming.
You've been listening to Talkback. The opinions expressed were those of the hosts and callers, and not necessarily those of Cenlaw Broadcasting. AM 970, FM 104.9, KSYL, and KRRV 100.3 HD3, Alexandria. It's 8 o'clock.
He faces assault and firearms charges for now. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, but more could be coming for Cole Allen, the suspected attacker at the White House Correspondents' Dinner Saturday night. He's doing federal court today.
America deserves answers. President Trump is committed to transparency and accountability.
And FBI Director Kash Patel tells Fox investigators have a lot to look at.
To include emails, social media postings, witness interviews, interviews with people, family, friends, and neighbors, so we can provide a complete picture of this individual's mindset and intent.
The suspect had guns and knives trying to get into that dinner. President Trump was there and tells CBS 60 Minutes.
It was amazing because as soon as they saw that, you could see them draw their guns. They were so professional, aim their guns, and then they took them down immediately.
A Secret Service agent was shot, but his bulletproof vest saved him. He's been released from a hospital. Despite what happened Saturday night, Britain's King Charles will still come to the U.S. today, going to the White House at a time when U.S.-UK relations soured over Britain not participating in the Iran conflict.
President Trump even going so far as recently to call the Prime Minister of the UK a coward and no Churchill. But look, the King is not a member of the government. He's a representative of the British people. And this trip really is being seen in the UK as a reminder that the two countries are unified in deeper ways than politics. And the president's also saying in the last few days that this visit could even help repair the relationship.
That's Fox's Benjamin Hall in London. After U.S. and Iran talks broke down over the weekend again, Fox's Matt Finn reports from Dubai.
The United States blockade is entering its third week here in the Persian Gulf. It's aimed at draining Iran's economy. Well, now Iran is reportedly willing to relinquish its chokehold on the Strait of Hormuz, but it's not willing to meet U.S. demands on its nuclear program.
There's a hearing this hour at Virginia's Supreme Court considering a challenge to congressional redistricting voters approved last week that could let Democrats flip 4 House seats from Republicans in the November elections. America's listening to Fox News.
History isn't just in textbooks. It's the story of us, the United States. 2026 marks 250 years of America. And throughout the year, Bill Hemmer takes listeners on a journey through the 250 most impactful moments in American history. From the spark of revolution to the battles for freedom, the ideas, inventions, and decisions that changed the world. The 250 most impactful moments in American history podcast. Listen and follow now at foxnewspodcasts.com.
You never know who might be taking the quiz.
Hi, everyone. It's Candace Cameron Bure.
Hey, everyone. It's Phil Sims.
It's Dolores Catania.
Hey, everyone. I'm Kix Brooks.
It's Candace Bushnell.
I'm Rob Paulson.
I'm Ryan Serhant.
Hey, everyone. I'm Nicole Palizzi.
Everybody's Kevin Nealon.
What's up, guys? It's Nia Sue, and it's time to take the quiz.
5 questions in less than 5 minutes every day. Listen and follow at thequiz.fox.
The U.S. military has gone on the attack again off the South American coast, blowing up another suspected drug trafficking boat in the Eastern Pacific, killing 3 more alleged narco-terrorists. More than 180 of them have been killed in the 50-plus attacks in this anti-drug operation since September. It's billionaire versus billionaire in court in California. Jury selection starts today in a lawsuit related to artificial intelligence.
Reuters reports a federal judge dismissed Elon Musk's claims that he was defrauded by OpenAI and its CEO, Sam Altman, but the trial will proceed on claims of breach of charitable trust and unjust enrichment. Musk co-founded OpenAI in 2015. He sued the company and Altman in 2024, alleging Altman promised to keep it a nonprofit aimed at developing safe artificial intelligence for humanity when Musk made a $38 million donation to start it, but it instead restructured to become a for-profit business. OpenAI denies this, calling the suit baseless. Altman alleges Musk is using the suit to attack a competitor and boost his own company, XAI. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
Speaking of billionaires, there's a push gaining momentum in California to get them to pay a wealth tax.
The Healthcare Workers Union supporting the tax says it's submitting nearly 1.6 million signatures and needs just 875,000 to be verified to get the proposal on the November ballot in California. It's a one-time tax, up to 5% on assets over $1 billion, mostly to fund healthcare programs. Supporters say it'll generate around $100 billion from the state's 200 or so billionaires. Some of them are trying to get competing measures on the ballot designed to block or weaken the tax. And California Governor Gavin Newsom argues that discouraging investment in the state and billionaires leaving will lead to long-term losses. Chris Foster, Fox News.
Stocks may drop to start the week on Wall Street. Futures falling, but only modestly after gains last week that put the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 at record highs. I'm Dave Anthony, and this is Fox News.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Sean Burns. Governor Jeff Landry calls last week's fatal mass shooting at a Louisiana mall unacceptable and is pointing the finger at parents and the judicial system for violence that continues to take place involving young people.
When we find ourselves arresting juveniles for violent crime, somewhere along the way, those parents' responsibilities have failed. The rest of that young man is their parents' failure first.
17-year-old Markel Lee has been charged with first-degree murder and 5 counts of attempted first-degree murder. Authorities are still searching for a second suspected gunman. 44 years after 16-year-old Roxanne Sharp was raped and murdered in Covington, state police have arrested 4 men in connection with her murder. Trooper Mark Grimion says the February 1982 murder remained unsolved for decades until Charles Dowdy's podcast, Who Killed Roxanne, spurred interest in the case.
It was a rejuvenation of public interest, and it reached people that originally lived in Covington, may have moved away.
LRN. While the Republican Senate candidates can't agree on holding a debate, the Democratic candidates all got together for one in Baton Rouge. Here's Andrew Greenstein.
Jamie Davis, Gary Crockett, and Nick Alvarez spent 45 minutes answering questions on a wide variety of topics, including voting rights. Here's what they had to say on that in that order.
If we shorten the way we have a right to vote, then we're killing our democracy.
Think about who is trying to stop people from voting. It's the people that are cozied up with the big corporations.
I believe that we need to expand early voting to make sure that people have opportunities to vote by mail.
Other issues the three addressed included health care, affordability, and immigration. I'm Andrew Greenstein.
A bill headed to the House floor looks to give significant pay raises to the governor and other statewide elected officials. Harahan Representative John Ilg says those salaries haven't been raised in 20 years.
Many of the people that are elected statewide now once worked in those departments. They took a pay cut to become the boss.
LRN.
The world once needed lots of paper made right here in central Louisiana. Now we're making a comeback with clean methanol. Beaver Lake Renewable Energy will turn Louisiana wood into fuel, creating hundreds of direct and indirect jobs and giving loggers a steady market again. It's not just a plant, it's a promise to our land, our people, and our future. Visit beaverlakerenewable.com and find out how we're putting central Louisiana back on the map.
Good morning. Our skies partly sunny on this Monday. It's going to be a breezy day and hot. Afternoon highs near 92. That heat index is high as 97. We'll see winds out of the south gusting as high as 25. Tonight, increasing clouds, only getting down to 71. And our Tuesday, a partly sunny day. Again, warm, 91 for the afternoon high, but a slight chance of some afternoon showers. From the Cenla Broadcasting Weather Center, I'm Dave Gratian.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics. With 18 providers and 3 locations, someone can see you today.
It's Talkback, Central Louisiana's longest-running talk show. Whether it's the guests or the callers, Talkback is where Central Louisiana begins its conversation.
All right, we're back. Hour number 2 of Talkback on a Monday. Al Quartermont, Stephen Maxwell with you, and glad you could be with us. As we mentioned in the first hour, we have an election coming up. It is on May 16th, which is 2 weeks from this coming Saturday, and it'll essentially be the primary vote for several races, which will include, among other things, congressional races and also some local races like the Pineville mayor race, which we just had Chris Camp on the show to talk about that. The big races drawing the headlines, of course, will be the U.S. Senate race. Primary people running there would be Bill Cassidy, Julia Letlow, and John Fleming. And then you have your congressional races. You have some state Supreme Court races as well. So a lot that's going on. It is an important election. We want to tell you more about that. By the way, let me add something. In the first hour, we were trying to explain the no party thing, where if you're a no party, if you're registered as no party, you can vote in these primaries, but you'll have to vote either as for the Democrat candidates or for the Republicans. You can't mix it, if that makes sense. It's either one or the other until the general election. And as part of that, we're told that the independent party voters have been folded into no party by the local registrars. So if you've previously been independent, apparently now you're no party, is what we're understanding. I know it's confusing, but hopefully it all shakes out. And one great resource, if you get a chance, if you go to govote.com, which is the Secretary of State's website, you can always check your sample ballot to see. And when you click on that, you type in your name, zip code, birth month, and year. It'll tell you exactly what you need to know about all that. All right. Now, among the things you'll also be voting on, our favorites, the constitutional amendments, of which there are 5 this year. And to help us kind of understand those and maybe talk about what they were trying to accomplish, we're joined on the phone by Daniel Erspamer. He is the CEO of the Pelican Group, the Pelican Institute for Public Policy. He joins us on the phone right now. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I was curious. I just looked it up, and I asked Grok, how many times has the Louisiana Constitution been amended, which was, of course, approved in 1974, ratified in 1974, 221 times. That's a lot of amendments.
Yeah, it's amazing. We have the youngest constitution of any state in the country, and yet the second longest and the most amended. So go figure.
Yeah. And I've heard there have been calls to maybe have a new constitutional convention for the state and try to come up with a new one. Do you see that ever happening?
Well, we've been a proponent of that. I think it's a tough challenge, no doubt, because it's complex and there's a lot to it. But I do think there continues to be support for that, and even a bill filed this year by Representative Dixon McMakin from Baton Rouge. So I think it's still a possibility on the horizon, but a lot of work to get there.
Is there not an appetite for that among the current legislators, or what are your thoughts there?
Well, the debate seems to revolve around, do we elect delegates? Are the legislators the delegates? Do you just take part of the Constitution? Do you look at the whole Constitution? So a lot of those kind of detailed questions, there does seem to be a consensus that we need some kind of change. The question really is in those details of how do you do it and who does it.
So for people who aren't familiar with the Pelican Institute, just briefly explain to people what your group does, who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. So the Pelican Institute is Louisiana's free market think tank. And what that means is it's our job to study the conditions on the ground, to understand policy, to make recommendations about how to remove barriers to opportunity and prosperity. So we come at the world from a free market, free enterprise perspective. And at the end of the day, our mission is that every person in Louisiana has the opportunity to flourish, and we remove those government barriers that tend to stand in the way.
All right. Thank you for that. All right, let's jump into these constitutional amendments. Number one will be enhancing accountability in civil service. It would allow the legislature to add or remove positions from the unclassified civil service authority that currently rests with the State Civil Service Commission. Explain what that means and what it would do.
So civil service protection, not unique to Louisiana. This is, but perhaps important to Louisiana to ensure that state government workers, rank and file state government workers, aren't subject to political pressure. We've certainly had our history of that in Louisiana. So, the objective is a good one. What's happened though over time is this has become just a really structured, overstructured in many cases, system that makes it hard to promote and retain really good talent, and maybe to make some changes where changes are needed when you have that many people working for government. And it's got this wonky system. The Civil Service Commission is appointed by the governor, but only from a list of recommendations made by private university presidents in Louisiana. So it's kind of an interesting setup. What this amendment would do if it passes is, from our opinion, and we recommend a yes vote on this, it would rebalance the power here and give the legislature the ability, on equal footing with the Civil Service Commission, but it would give the legislature the ability to move positions from what they call classified, which is protected by the civil service rules, to unclassified. So, really just give some checks and balances to this commission, and hopefully will do good things to smooth out some of the challenges that agency leads have had for a long time in recruiting and retaining talent.
Okay. Does it make it easier to get rid of bad employees in that realm?
It could, but in this case, what it really does is a broader category of saying, look, if we have the governor, for example, has said anyone who makes over $100,000, that we should really look at are those people classified civil service, or should we have some more ability to move those around between classified and unclassified? So it would just give the legislature the ability to make some of those decisions, and then empower the agency leads to have more control over their teams. Okay, got it. And you're on record, the Pelican Institute, of supporting this amendment. We are. We think this is a good government balance of power approach that is measured and makes a lot of sense. Okay. All right. That's fairly straightforward. Let's move to the second one. And this one would expand local authority in education, addressing the authority of communities to establish independent school systems, specifically enabling the St. George Community School System to move forward by granting it the same authority as parish school systems and other municipal school systems. Okay, so this is kind of, I'm understanding this more of a Baton Rouge area thing, but could apply to the whole state? Yeah, so this, you're right. It's one where a lot of voters, especially in your area or my area, would go and say, what does this have to do with me? Well, this is one of the quirks of the Constitution. The people of St. George, which is a community within East Baton Rouge Parish, a couple years ago, the folks may remember, started their own city, broke away from the consolidated city parish government. And really the point of that was driven by a desire to have a local school district. But to do that, the Constitution requires this vote. So for this to pass, it requires a majority vote in East Baton Rouge Parish and a majority vote in the rest of the state. We support this amendment because we believe it's important to give locals more opportunity to control their destiny, particularly in education. This is not new. Similar districts exist in Zachary and Central and Baker. And it's really just about a community's ability to drive their own education decisions and provide more options for their students. So we recommend a yes vote on this. It won't change really anything for folks in your area, but it gives the people of St. George the ability to do what they've been working hard to do for the last few years. Has most of the pushback on that been more about race than anything else? Because that really has, yeah. Which is unfortunate. There's a lot of a lot more to that, mostly to that. And it's worth pointing out. Someone pointed out the other day that the new school districts in St. George would be a majority minority district. So it's the rhetoric has become about race, but this is really about local control and local decision making. Sure. Which, I mean, it seems like in education, the more local, the better. At least that's been kind of the recent movement of things. Even, we're seeing that at the
state level, trying to move away from the federal control over things. Louisiana, I think that seems to be part of the reason why our schools have been improving so much, is that we're not really following as much the federal lead as we used to.
I think that's right. And we're empowering parents to make better decisions for their children. Their parents are ultimately who knows best. And the next closest level of governance from a parent and a family is that local government.
Gotcha. And you guys, again, are supporting this one as well.
We are.
Okay. All right. Daniel Ersbaumer is with the Pelican Institute for Public Policy. We need to take a short break here. Can we keep you on for another segment or two?
You bet. Would love to.
All right. We'll be back with Daniel right after this.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics. With 18 providers and 3 locations, someone can see you today.
Pineville is growing, and people are taking notice. In just over a year, Mayor Joe Bishop has worked to make Pineville a place where businesses can grow and new opportunities can take root. By being accessible, cutting through red tape, and working directly with business owners, projects are moving forward and investment is happening. From local entrepreneurs to major employers, Pineville is building real momentum. Let's keep it going. Vote Joe Bishop for mayor.
I'm Joe Bishop, and I'd appreciate your vote.
Paid for by the campaign to elect Joe Bishop.
Need office supplies, janitorial supplies, or office furniture, either new or pre-owned? Then look no further than DTW Office Supply, with wholesale prices on a large selection of top quality products, all with the personalized hometown service that you deserve. We're proud to serve the entire state of Louisiana with daily deliveries right to your door. Visit us today at 1219 MacArthur Drive or online at dtwofficesupply.com. That's DTW Office Supply, your trusted partner for all of your office needs. Quality, value, service. If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BOM Bank Talk line at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BOM Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. Now back to Talkback.
All right, our guest is Daniel Ersbaumer. He is the CEO of the Pelican Institute for Public Policy. We've been breaking down the constitutional amendments, and which you'll be voting on coming up on May 16th, unless you early vote, which starts on Saturday, which is May 2nd, and goes for 10 days, I believe, Stephen. It is?
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Anywho, so constitutional amendment number 3 regards paying off debt and making a teacher a pay raise permanent. It would dissolve certain dedicated education funds and utilize the free resources toward reducing debt in the teacher retirement system of Louisiana. Daniel, we actually had our local superintendent for Rapides Parish on the show the other day, and he has harped on this issue for years, saying that if the state could only pay down that retirement system debt, they could afford to give their own teachers pay raises, and that's essentially what this amendment would do.
Yeah, you've nailed it. So this is the pension challenge we have was frankly created by the legislature a long time ago, but created by the legislature, mounting debt related to that. And yet the state has over $2 billion in education-related funds that are locked up in the Constitution. And, I always think about, I grew up as a kid listening to Dave Ramsey, right? And Dave always says, pay off those debts, build a little emergency fund. And, so I look at this amendment as the Dave Ramsey amendment. This is an opportunity to take debt that is a higher interest rate than the savings account is producing, and use those dollars to pay off significant debt. As you noted, it then requires the local school districts to use that savings to make permanent the teacher pay raise that's been in stipends the last couple of years. And there's another important point to this that I think often gets overlooked. Teachers are employees of their local school districts, not the state.
Right.
And so often, the question about teacher pay gets elevated to the legislature, and people come and demand more money. But the reality is, if you believe, like I do, that teachers need to be paid better, and excellent teachers need to be paid even a lot more, we've got to, again, push those decisions back down to the local school boards, which is the appropriate place to do this. So I really see Amendment 3 as a win-win-win all around. It pays down debt. it gives the teacher a pay raise, and it recenters those education decisions squarely where they should be at the school board.
So that would be $2,250 for teachers, $1,125 for support staff. And as you pointed out, this actually would be coming from the local school boards, with the difference in the money that they're not having to send to help pay down that debt. Now they'll have that money freed up to pay these pay increases. Our superintendent mentioned that maybe there are a couple of parishes that still wouldn't be able to afford, so the state might have to help them out a little on that. Have you heard anything on that?
Yes, that is true. There are a few, and the state has committed for any district for whom that difference does not equal out. And by the way, some districts will have more even than that. We hope they dedicate that to teachers as well. But yes, the state will make whole those districts who can't make the math work there. But there's it's just a couple of them.
Sure. One of our listeners texted me. He's asking, why can't these good measures be accomplished by the legislature instead of always changing our Constitution?
What a great question and an astute listener. And this is why some of us have agitated for a convention or some more substantive change to the Constitution because of past constitutional amendments and some things that were in the original 74 draft. These have to go through the Constitution. So I wholeheartedly agree. One of the things, just to sort of spoiler alert, we're a yes on amendments 1 through 4, and all of them effectively move things out of the Constitution or unlock funds that the Constitution has locked up. So, I think there's a lot of skepticism, particularly among when these constitutional amendments come before them, because most of them in the past have been bad. Most of them have been expanding the scope of the Constitution. The good news is what we're talking about today really does move us back in the better direction and hopefully sets up that bigger conversation.
Gotcha. All right, number 4, removing barriers to investment and growth. It would allow parishes to reduce or eliminate property taxes on business inventory, which is one of the most punishing remaining taxes on the Louisiana books. So this would essentially be more of a parish by parish thing, is what I'm understanding?
Well, so right now, the current Constitution, we talk about constitutional problems, mandates that parishes levy this tax. It's a property tax on business inventory. You may hear people refer to it as the inventory tax. And we're one of only a handful of states that still levies this tax. And it's been a huge problem all around. So on one hand, it's particularly punishing to business. You pay this tax whether you make money or not. So imagine you're a Walmart or a local bookstore or a grocery store or even a large manufacturing operation. Anything that you have in inventory, which, by the way, you've already paid taxes on. And when the customer comes to buy it, they're going to pay taxes on it. So this is a sort of triple taxation situation that is mandated in our state constitution.
Gosh.
Now,
yeah,
it's crazy. So in a perfect world, we would get rid of it altogether. The problem, of course, has become that a handful of local governments have become quite reliant on this revenue. There are only about 13 or 14 for whom it makes up a really significant portion. But what this amendment does is it changes that shall. It's that currently you have to levy this tax. It says may. So it gives the option to local governments to either reduce or eliminate the tax. And that'll have to be decided by the various governing bodies, the school board, the parish council, or police jury. But it's going to give a chance to make parishes competitive with one another as businesses hopefully continue to relocate here. This is a huge part of that broader tax reform and economic development opportunity to get rid of this tax. And it will also save the state money because the state has essentially been crediting back to payers some or all of their inventory tax liability. So it removes an expense on the state side, which is great news, and it removes a tax, or at least it gives the opportunity to remove a tax at the local level that's really punishing on business.
Yeah. I mean, if you talk to local businesses, they probably hate this one more than any, and I can understand why, because they've already paid taxes. Now they're paying. Yeah. It's just insane. It really is. So, for those parishes that would approve this or go along with this, how would they make up the money that they would lose?
So the state, again, we talk about all these savings accounts the state has. The state has a savings account called the Revenue Stabilization Fund, and what the companion to this amendment in statute, to your listener's point, basically gives permission or gives the authority to the state to use some of the money in this Revenue Stabilization Fund, which is separate and apart from our traditional rainy day fund, to basically give the local governments a 3-year runway. So it's going to give up to $15 million, depending on the parish, money to sort of backfill and give time for parishes to wean off that inventory tax money or come up with some other plan.
Okay. So Pelican Institute supports amendments 1 through 4. The last amendment is number 5, which has to do with judicial retirement age, would increase the mandatory age for judges from 70 to 75. The thinking behind this is that at 70, you still have some judges that are very competent, of a sound mind, and this would allow them 5 more years on the bench to serve with the experience that they already have.
Yeah, so officially, Pelican Institute is neutral on this, not an issue we work a lot on. So I talk about the sort of pros and cons. As you mentioned, the pro is a lot of great jurists still on the bench, and 70 isn't what it used to be. 70 is the new 60. And so, and just to clarify, this wouldn't force a judge to retire at 70 currently or 75. It just means they can't run for re-election. Oh, okay. Which gets to the downside of this, right? So let's take a state Supreme Court role, for example, which is a 10-year term. So you could have someone, if you increase to 75, run just before their 75th birthday and serve until they're 85 years old. Opponents of this also point out that judges are one of the handful of elected individuals in the state that aren't subject to term limits. So the retirement age sort of serves as a de facto term limit. So this is extending that. And it's probably also worth noting that similar questions have appeared on the ballot in Louisiana twice in the last 30 or 40 years, and voters have rejected both of them. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I think voters are pretty skeptical to extend essentially term limits for most folks, and these have not been successful in the past. But we'll see what happens.
Speaking of which, the last time we had constitutional amendments, they went down in flames. There was sort of an maybe government push there from folks, which the big one had to do with the amendment that had so many things crammed into one that they kind of wanted to break these out a little bit. What are your thoughts? Do any of these have a good chance of passing this time around?
Yeah, I think so. Amendments are hard to predict because people tend not to pay attention to them until the very last minute, sometimes not until they walk in the voting booth, right. Which is part of the reason, thank you for the time to come talk about this. I am optimistic. I think there are, strong demand for a teacher pay raise, to continue important tax reforms to the inventory tax. They've got those two in particular have gotten a lot of attention. Turnout's going to be interesting. It's largely the turnout will be driven by the Senate primary for Republicans. As you mentioned, among other races. But and last year that was a big, complex amendment that drew a lot of misinformation and a lot of skepticism. And so I think these are all a little more bite-sized, even though it's all pretty complicated, and a lot of good stuff to like in these amendments.
Sure. All right, Daniel Erspamer, CEO of the Pelican Institute. Always great to catch up with you. We need to talk a little more frequently.
Well, let's plan on it. I love it. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. I hope you have a blessed day.
Thanks. You too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
More talk back coming up.
Good morning. Bit of negativity on Wall Street this morning as investors eye instability in the Middle East. In the airline industry, United CEO Scott Kirby admits he approached American Airlines about a possible combination, but he also says those merger talks have ended. More airlines getting in the spirit of government help. Budget airlines like Frontier and Avelo are now asking the White House for a relief plan worth $2.5 billion in exchange for convertible equity stakes because of rising jet fuel prices. Spirit's parent is already asking for help. Are you planning to fly this summer? Experts say to book now before prices surge and try to book for closer to the end of the summer to save money to avoid the hit from rising jet fuel prices. Meta is seeking power from space, wants to power data centers with energy beamed through a deal with Overview Energy. And Home Depot is rolling out a new artificial intelligence phone system for customer support calls. Claims it can figure out what you want in just 10 seconds. Denise Pellegrini, Bloomberg Radio.
This is Dr. Jonathan Hunter with the clinics. We provide primary, family, and chronic care along with gastroenterology, podiatry with on-site lab and x-ray services. I'm pleased to welcome family physician Dr. Noah Miller to our team. We are currently accepting new patients and same-day appointments are available. If you're admitted into the hospital, our doctors will see you there as well. Most insurance and Medicare are accepted. The clinic's on North Bolton, 445-9823, and online at theclinics.us.
Starting a business shouldn't feel overwhelming. At Janikin Gulf Coast, we give you a clear, proven path to ownership. You receive guaranteed initial accounts, local support, and the training you need to succeed from day one. For over 35 years, we've helped people turn steady careers into thriving businesses. And you could be next. Start your journey today at JannyKingCleans.com.
Janny King, the king of clean.
Good morning. Our skies partly sunny on this Monday. It's going to be a breezy day and hot. Afternoon highs near 92. That heat index is high as 97. We'll see winds out of the south gusting as high as 25. Tonight, increasing clouds, only getting down to 71. And our Tuesday, a partly sunny day. Again, warm, 91 for the afternoon high. But a slight chance of some afternoon showers. From the Cenla Broadcasting Weather Center, I'm Dave Gratian.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. Talk back.
All right, Alan and Steve are back with you here on a Monday morning here on KSYL. Just to remind you again, if you didn't hear earlier, that there is a NARBIA meeting, North Rapids Business and Industry Alliance, 11:30 a.m. coming up this morning in just over about 3 hours. And it'll be a meet and greet the candidates forum that will be happening there, as you will have the three candidates for City of Pineville Mayor, Joe Bishop, Chris Camp, and Rusty Murdoch. Then you'll have the candidates for City Council, Districts 1, 3, 4, and 5. So you'll have a chance to hear from them, learn what they want to bring to Pineville. So that should be, is that the first forum that you can think of where all the candidates have been together?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Yeah.
I wonder how they're going to keep that under 15 hours.
Right. Probably just, they have a time limit on each one, I would think.
Yeah.
So that's coming up. Man, it's like all of a sudden May is almost here. And so now we can really start thinking about this election. Of course, the Senate race has gotten so much of the attention, but locally that Pineville mayor's race, I think it'll be interesting as well.
It'll be, very interesting. Like Mr. Ersbaumer was saying, the Senate race is going to carry the majority of that across Louisiana, maybe get some turnout. But I think Pineville will show up regardless.
Yeah.
There's usually pretty good turnout for a mayoral race.
Right.
It's been pretty quiet compared to other more recent mayoral races.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So I think another interesting race is the 6th Congressional District. Cleo Fields currently representing the 6th. We've had him on the show before. So he is unopposed in the Democratic primary. The Republican side of the primary has 4 candidates. Monique Apeening, I guess that's how you say her name, from St. George. Speaking of St. George. Larry Davis from Livingston, Chris Johnson from Greenwell Springs, and Peter Williams of Lettsworth. All 4 are running as Republicans, obviously, since it's a Republican primary, but all 4 are also black. So you have 4 black Republican primary candidates looking to jump into that race against Cleo Fields.
Yeah. So whoever comes out of that, I'm trying to think of the names there. The only one I recognize is Peter Williams. Didn't he run for that position before?
Not sure.
Last time around?
I know last time it was Albert Guillory, who he actually did okay, and he did okay without getting any support from the state GOP, which was really disappointing, by the way. But I don't know. It still is a burr in my saddle. I know it's a big burr in Boone Graffon's saddle that our state essentially gave away a district to the Democrats, especially in light of what's been happening around the country ever since. Man.
Yeah, Peter Williams ran for that before.
Okay.
I thought he was a Democrat last time. I don't want to put word or... So, yeah, he was a... I don't know. I thought he used to be Democrat. So. But yeah, we had that forum last, I guess, 2 years ago now, whenever the race first happened. I was with the Shreveport station, and we came down here for it, and Cleo didn't show up, but the other candidates did, and Peter Williams was one of them.
So, okay.
Yep. I think he's big in the timber industry as well.
Gotcha. So, yeah, it is an important race, and you want to definitely turn out for that. All right, let's go to the phones. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Yeah, I might have missed it because I didn't hear him talking about the pay raise for teachers. But I have a very liberal teacher friend who I thought would have been in favor of that bill, the amendment. But he claims that there's more smoke and mirrors because basically after so many years, the parish may be responsible for the raise or for the extra money.
That's right.
And in order to get that extra money, they would then have to raise taxes.
No, that's not true. Well, according to
How
what
would they
we're...
get the extra money?
Because, and we've had Superintendent Powell on the show several times explain this. So the money that they currently send to the state to help pay down the Louisiana retirement system, there's a debt on that system. This would take other funds at the state level and pay down that retirement debt. That the difference in the money that the local districts send to the state, they would use that money then to pay those raises.
Okay. Well, then it sounds like it is in quotes, a winner. But this guy, and I wish I could remember his exact comments about it, but I would have thought he would have been gung-ho, and he just was absolutely against it.
Well, I mean, and I don't know where he gets his information from. I could probably guess, but the reality is that these local districts are sending a lot of money to Baton Rouge to help pay down a debt that the state could start to pay down itself. If this amendment passes, then that money stays here and they can be given out. So that's the theory behind it. Is it smoke and mirrors? I mean, what in government doesn't seem to be these days?
Well, is the local government required then to apply that for teacher raises?
Yes.
Okay.
It would be
for the explanation.
Yes, sir. So, all right. Thank you so much. We'll take a quick break.
KSYL. Hello, I'm Mike Nichols, and I'm a candidate for Congress here in the 4th Congressional District. Linda and I raised 4 children, and we have 5 grandchildren here in District 4. Our great-grandparents helped settle Louisiana's no man's land. We have a long history of being blessed with natural beauty, including forests, streams, and rivers. Let's keep our heritage and culture here in District 4. Please vote for Mike Nichols, the right Mike for the job, number 30 on the ballot. Early voting starts May 2nd, and Election Day is May 16th. I paid for and endorsed this message.
Problems. Everybody hates them, but from time to time, everybody's got some. And that's why everybody needs to know about Southern Air Heating and Cooling. Heating or cooling problem? Call Southern Air. Plumbing or drain problem? It's Southern Air again. Your power's out and you need a generator? Guess who? And you can keep those problems away this winter with a heating tune-up. Call Southern Air Heating and Cooling now at 318-777-5555. Or visit us online at southernairnow.com.
While supplies last. 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYL. Now to talk back.
That's another one to talk about.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
How much money does our school district send to Baton Rouge to pay down the teacher retirement debt?
I don't know. I could try to find that out, though.
So my point is this. Why are we voting on something that we don't know actually how much money is involved? So we can paint it up and say, oh, if we stop sending this money, we can then give teachers a raise. How do we know it's enough money to fund the raises?
Yeah, I mean, good question.
Right. So that's number one. So that's why I'll have to vote against that, because I don't know what the cost or the benefit is in dollars. And I think that's where the smoke and mirror comes in. The second point is on the inventory tax. It doesn't say will not. It says may. It says may.
Right.
May not. So you're leaving it up to the individual municipalities and parishes.
Right.
So this is what happens. And this, somebody like Bass Pro or Cabela's or another national firm comes in to a local economy and says, well, you know, we really don't want to relocate there because of the inventory tax. And I go, oh, well, you're exempt. So it doesn't help the existing businesses, and it doesn't help, anybody that's already been paying it for since 1974. So is there a refund to all those people that have been paying it for these decades? So see, there's so many levels to this for people just to come out and say, well, it's going to guarantee a teacher's raise. No, look at the wording. It says without sending that to Baton Rouge, it will fund. Well, how do we know that's going to balance? How do we reconcile that accounting? The second of all is may not. So see, these are why amendments, people are so skeptical about amendments. Why not just say we're going to give the teachers a raise of, let's say, 3% every 5 years, every 4 years. That way it's guaranteed of whatever. And then also, how did the retirement fund get into debt? Was it malfeasance? Was it underfunded? Was there an accounting error like Ilhan Omar that all of a sudden we don't have, the money's not really there? So all these things make people skeptical about amendments.
No, I agree. I completely understand where you're coming from. And I think yeah, go ahead.
Why would 64 parishes vote for an amendment that only affects one town?
Right.
I mean, the guy said from the Pelican Institute that they already exist in Baker, Zachary, and Livingston. Now, how did they get an independent school system without an amendment, but St. George has to have an amendment?
I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, inquiring minds want to know.
No, your healthy brand of skepticism, I think, is important. And I think a lot of people, fall. I mean, as Daniel said, a lot of people just look at these amendments and go, I don't understand them, I don't trust them, and I'm just voting against them automatically.
Well, it's not automatic, but you're not. The easiest way, the truest lies are the ones that contain a kernel of truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so all these amendments are deceptions that have a little bit of the truth in them. Like, for instance, the inventory tax. Nobody wants that. That's theft. That's double taxation. I mean, it's all kinds of things.
Right.
But so nobody wants that. But instead of just saying, hey, we need to get rid of it because it's wrong economically, culturally, ethnically wrong, we don't want to do that. We want to play smoke and mirrors and say if and buts.
Right.
You know, if and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a big Christmas.
Oh, that's for sure.
But it does not pay the bills.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you. There are always kind of layers to these things. You know, we try to share the information as it's being told, and I'm grateful that people like you think through these. I wish more people did.
Well, you know, every time I call in, you surprise me.
Why is that?
Because that's the first time that I remember everybody said they were thankful for me.
Oh, come on. It's like Bill Murray said in Ghostbusters, I don't need your abuse. I got thousands of people dying to abuse me.
That's right. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you, brother.
Don't know on the amendments.
Okay. Thanks so much for that. We'll be right back.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics.
My perfect day has sand, salt water, and friends. But my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can take me out of the moment. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, most people saw 90% clearer skin, and many were even 100% plaque-free at 4 months. Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything.
Nothing is everything.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
At Trinity Health Pace Alexandria, we listen first, then bring the right care to you. From medical care and social activities at our center to home care, transportation, and more. We help seniors stay healthy, independent, and connected to what they love. From empathy to expertise, we see all of you. Call 318-206-1020. That's 318-206-1020. Or visit thpace-alexandria.org to learn more about Trinity Health Pace Alexandria.
Attention all real estate agents, property owners, and lenders. When you or a client needs a real estate attorney, call the professionals at Thompson Law Firm. Whether the legal matter is basic or complex, the Thompson Law Firm can accurately guide you or your client to a successful outcome. That's why numerous industry professionals have trusted the Thompson Law Firm for years. They also handle estate planning, successions, and business law. Call them at 473-0052. I am a paid non-client attorney spokesperson.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. Talk back.
The kind of violence that we end up with when we engage in those kinds of policies. And I'm asking the legislature to go back and look at the laws. In fact, people that go into common places and decide to engage in that kind of violence, we should put them away for life. I'm done with them. It doesn't matter how old they are. Somebody has failed. It's not the government's job to raise these people. It's common sense not to go into a public space with a gun and start shooting around blindly. We got 18,000 acres at Angola. If it's up to me, I'd send them all there for the rest of their lives.
All right, welcome back. Last segment of the morning, that was our governor, Jeff Landry, on Friday. They had a news conference that was talking about the shooting that took place at the Mall of Louisiana on Thursday. Just terrible story. Just reading about the 17-year-old girl that was shot just absolutely not only breaks your heart, it infuriates you, and it clearly touched a nerve with the governor, especially when you read that the kid had been wearing an ankle bracelet, apparently, for having taken a gun to school, and then the judge signed the papers to let him take that off, and then lo and behold, look what happens. So the context of his remarks is about judges being a little bit slack when it comes to some of these things, and I know that we've heard that in other cases before, even around the country. You've seen some recent murders that took place when people that probably shouldn't have even been out on the street. So Governor was a little frustrated. That clip went viral.
Yeah, like you said, heartbreaking story. We shared reports at the end of last week where the suspect had a extensive history a little bit with gun violence or with guns. And so it's very unfortunate. And you kind of have to side with the governor a little bit there. But then again, it's a very complicated situation when it comes to criminal justice. And I'm sure it's more nuanced than, a bad judge. But it seems very unfortunate.
Yeah, yeah. Meanwhile, you have a family that's left to grieve. A daughter that had so much going for her. At least she was the captain of her tennis team, had a scholarship to attend college to play the sport. Outstanding student, just that classic wrong place, the wrong time. But being in a mall, eating lunch with your friends should never be the wrong place, the wrong time. And I agree, and I have said this on the show how many times. When you talk about why are there so many crime problems in Louisiana, it's because we have so many criminals. And we have so many criminals that are still out on the street. And we keep hearing, well, there's no place to put them. Our jails are too crowded. Build more jails. And if we need to build more facilities in Angola, do that. Like you said, they got plenty of room there. And, everyone's like, oh, well, that's cold and heartless. We need to give these people a second chance. No, we don't. To do what? Kill somebody? Like at some point, there has to be in our society the expectation that it is not okay to shoot people. It is not okay to murder people. And if you're going to do nefarious things, you're going to jail for the rest of your life. And we could get into the whole death penalty thing as well, but at the very least, we could clean up our streets tomorrow and put all these people away that are back on the street. Look how many times we're arresting people. They're illegally possessing a weapon after previous convictions. Why are they even out? Why do they even have the opportunity? Because we're so soft on crime. Really, as a society, we have no one to blame but ourselves because we allow it. We put up with it. If we took a no-tolerance policy, well, that's cold, that's harsh. Yeah, well, too bad. Then correct your behavior. I just don't get why this is so complicated.
I guess you'd have to, pass a tax, too, to build more jails, and that's another process, too. Yeah. Yeah, hey.
Or put them to work in those facilities. Make them pay their own way. Yeah. Let's go to the phones. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
The NFL draft.
Yes, sir.
That was a mess. Garrett Nussmeier had basically the same record as Joe Burrow, and he selected 249. Diogo Pavia, quarterback for Vanderbilt, didn't even get him.
Yeah.
Something is rotten in Denmark.
Yeah.
That's just my feeling.
Yeah, and I think, with Nussmeier, there's still some questions with his health that teams weren't willing. But, he landed in a pretty good spot. I wouldn't mind being in Kansas City.
Yeah, he's got a good place to go. He can learn a lot from Patrick.
Yep.
They're going to give him a chance. That's my...
Right. And Pavia, he's a little small. So I think that kind of worked against him.
How tall is Drew Brees?
Yeah, right.
Not much difference.
Look, if you have the talent, eventually they're going to find it. And, he's been invited to the Ravens mini camp. So he sticks with them. That could be a good place for him, too.
That could be. Final thing. There's a bar in Wisconsin
One?
that offers free beer all day long when Trump dies.
Oh, yeah, the Minocqua Brewery.
Yeah.
Well, the Minocqua is a great little community up in northern Wisconsin. I used to live about 25 miles from there. The guy that owns that bar, he's from Madison, Wisconsin. So that's all you need to know. Apparently, he doesn't even brew the beer there. And from everything I've heard, it's terrible beer. So he's a whack job.
I like the UP.
Oh, yeah.
And up in that area, Michigan, and all that area. So it's beautiful up there.
Oh, it is.
I just don't like cold and snow.
Yeah, it's beautiful if you're up there in the summer and into the early fall before it starts snowing.
Yeah.
All right, sir.
Well,
thank you so much.
Stephen, I hope you and your little family's doing real well.
Oh, thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
We're
you,
doing
man.
great.
Appreciate you. Appreciate the calls today. We're out of time, as you can hear. It'll be Stephen and Nathan tomorrow. We'll have our monthly LSUA segment coming up at 8:05. I think on Wednesday we have Mayor Bishop coming in, right? To talk about his candidacy.
Wednesday.
All right. So we'll do that then. Hope you all have a great day.